Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. A woman who creates her own legacy does not wait for permission to become who she was born to be. She understands that greatness is not handed down, it is built with vision, discipline, and purpose. She does not conform to the expectations of society. Instead, she rises to the standard of her divine calling. The world may try to limit her, but she refuses to be defined by titles, traditions, or the opinions of others. She is a force of nature, guided by wisdom and strengthened by faith. She does not waste time seeking approval, for she knows that approval is fleeting, but purpose is eternal. While others seek to fit in, she stands out because she carries a vision that is bigger than her circumstances. She does not dwell on past mistakes, nor does she allow failures to define her. Every challenge she faces is an opportunity to grow, and every setback is simply a lesson that propels her forward. She is careful about who she allows into her inner circle, for she understands that not everyone is meant to walk with her. She surrounds herself with those who encourage her, challenge her, and remind her of who she is when she forgets. She knows that the wrong company can destroy a dream before it even begins. So she walks with discernment and wisdom. When storms come, she does not crumble, she rises. She is not afraid of opposition because she knows that pressure produces strength and trials refine character. Where others see obstacles, she sees opportunities. Where others quit, she persists. She understands that legacy is not built in comfort, but through endurance, faith, and resilience. She does not live for the applause of men, but for the impact she will leave behind. She does not measure success by wealth or fame, but by the lives she touches, the wisdom she imparts, and the foundation she lays for the next generation. She is not concerned with being seen. She is concerned with making a difference. Every decision she makes is intentional. She values her time, energy, and resources, for she knows that the choices she makes today will shape the future she creates. She does not waste her days in distractions, but invest them in purpose. She understands that legacy is not built in a moment, but through a lifetime of consistent, disciplined action. This is the woman who builds a legacy, not because she was given power, but because she took responsibility. Not because it was easy, but because she refused to settle. She knows that she was born for something greater, and she will not leave this world without fulfilling the purpose for which she was created. She does not wait for history to write her story. She writes it herself. And Achim come about with Idona, Idonas. A woman who builds her own legacy understands that her purpose is greater than public approval. She does not seek permission to pursue her calling because she knows that validation from others is fleeting, but purpose is eternal. She is not controlled by the opinions of society, nor does she shape her life based on external expectations. She moves with confidence, knowing that she was created for something significant, and that significance does not require the applause of the crowd. She understands that approval is often tied to conformity, and she refuses to shrink herself to fit into a mold that was never meant for her. While others chase acceptance, she chases purpose. She knows that not everyone will understand her vision, and that is perfectly fine because her assignment was not given to them, it was given to her. She does not waste time explaining her every move or seeking validation from those who cannot see what she sees. She is focused on what she was born to do, not on how many people agree with her. She has learned that the most impactful people in history were often misunderstood, criticized, and even opposed. She knows that rejection does not mean she is on the wrong path. Sometimes it is confirmation that she is walking in destiny. The weight of purpose is often heavy, and the journey may be lonely, but she is willing to walk alone if it means fulfilling her divine calling. She does not compromise her values for acceptance, nor does she abandon her principles for temporary recognition. She chooses to build, to create, and to lead even when no one is clapping, because she understands that the true measure of success is not in how many people approve, but in how faithfully she fulfills what she was born to do. A woman who creates her own legacy does not allow her present circumstances to dictate her future. She understands that where she is today is not the full picture of where she is meant to be. She does not settle for what is comfortable or familiar because she carries a vision that is greater than what her eyes can see. While others may be trapped by their current limitations, she operates with a mindset that stretches beyond the present moment. She makes decisions not based on where she is, but based on where she's going. She refuses to be discouraged by temporary struggles because she knows they are part of a larger process. She understands that every great achievement begins with an unseen idea, a belief that something more is possible. While others focus on immediate gratification, she builds with the future in mind. She is intentional in her actions, knowing that what she sows today will determine what she reaps tomorrow. She does not allow setbacks to make her lose sight of her purpose. Instead, she uses them as lessons that shape her journey forward. She is not distracted by short-term failures or the opinions of those who cannot see the vision she carries. She surrounds herself with people who challenge her to think bigger, dream higher, and act with wisdom. She does not waste time proving herself to those who lack vision because she understands that some people will never comprehend what they cannot see for themselves. She remains steadfast, knowing that her path requires faith, patience, and persistence. She embraces the process of growth, knowing that what she envisions will one day become a reality, not because it is easy, but because she refuses to settle for anything less than what she was created for. A woman who builds her own legacy understands that the relationships she chooses will either push her toward her destiny or pull her away from it. She does not allow emotions alone to dictate her connections. Instead, she moves with wisdom and discernment. She is intentional about who she allows into her life because she knows that every person carries an influence, whether good or bad. She does not entertain relationships that drain her energy, compromise her values, or distract her from her purpose. She surrounds herself with people who challenge her to grow, encourage her vision, and remind her of who she is when she forgets. She understands that not everyone who walks with her today is meant to walk with her forever. Some people are seasonal, and clinging to the wrong relationships can delay her progress. She is not afraid to walk away from connections that no longer align with where she is going. She knows that loyalty should never come at the cost of destiny. Can you pray in Ejubara? She is Ejubara glass. While others may hold on to relationships out of fear of being alone, she embraces solitude when necessary, trusting that divine connections will come at the right time. She values relationships that are built on mutual respect, trust, and purpose. She does not chase after validation from people who do not see her worth. She understands that true friendships and partnerships are not about convenience, but about alignment. She invests in those who invest in her, and she does not waste time proving her value to those who cannot appreciate it. She walks with people who inspire her, correct her with love, and celebrate her success without competition. She protects her space, knowing that her legacy is too important to be compromised by relationships that do not serve her purpose. A woman who creates her own legacy understands that adversity is not a signal to quit, but an opportunity to rise. She does not crumble under pressure because she knows that every challenge she faces is shaping her into the person she needs to become. She refuses to let difficulties define her, and she does not allow setbacks to weaken her determination. When life knocks her down, she does not stay there. She rises stronger, and wiser than before. She embraces struggle as part of the process, recognizing that true strength is developed in the face of opposition. She understands that storms are temporary, but her purpose is permanent. She does not allow momentary hardships to distract her from her destiny. While others may give in to fear and doubt, she remains steadfast, trusting that every obstacle is a stepping stone towards something greater. She does not waste time complaining about what went wrong. Instead, she focuses on what she can learn and how she can grow. She is not afraid to start over, knowing that failure is never final unless she decides to quit. She does not seek an easy path because she knows that true success is forged in perseverance. She remains committed to her vision even when the journey feels lonely. She does not let rejection break her, nor does she allow criticism to shake her confidence. She understands that adversity is a test of character, and she refuses to be moved by temporary discomfort. She rises above every trial with a mindset of victory, knowing that resilience is not just about surviving, it is about thriving in the face of opposition. She pushes forward not because it is easy, but because she refuses to settle for anything less than what she was created for. A woman who creates her own legacy is not moved by circumstances, but by faith and conviction. She does not rely on what she sees with her natural eyes, for she knows that the greatest battles are won in the unseen. She walks with confidence, not because she has everything figured out, but because she trusts that her steps are ordered by something greater than herself. She does not allow fear to dictate her choices, nor does she shrink back when challenges arise. She understands that faith is not just believing in possibilities, but acting on them, even when there is no visible evidence of success. She is unwavering in her convictions, standing firm on the principles that define her. She does not compromise her values to fit in, nor does she alter her beliefs to gain approval. She knows that what she stands for is more important than what she stands against. While others may waver in uncertainty, she remains grounded because her foundation is built on truth, not trends. She refuses to be swayed by popular opinions or temporary emotion. Her strength comes from knowing that purpose requires endurance, and endurance is fueled by unwavering faith. She understands that conviction is not just about words, but about action. She does not just speak about her dreams, she pursues them relentlessly. She does not allow doubts to cripple her, and she does not let obstacles intimidate her. She presses forward even when the path is unclear, because she knows that faith is not about having all the answers, but about taking the next step with confidence. She carries a quiet assurance that no matter what happens, she will not be shaken. Her legacy is built on trust, and because of that, she moves boldly toward her destiny. A woman who creates her own legacy does not seek to be famous. She seeks to be impactful. She understands that influence fades, but impact lasts for generations. She does not measure her success by the number of people who know her name, but by the lives she has changed. While many chase popularity, she pursues purpose. She is not concerned with being seen, but with making a difference. She knows that true greatness is not found in temporary recognition, but in the legacy she leaves behind. She is not driven by applause or validation from the masses. She understands that influence can be built through external image, but impact is built through internal transformation. While some people strive to impress others, she strives to uplift others. She does not waste energy trying to gain followers, but focuses on leading with wisdom and integrity. She does not chase approval because she knows that those who truly change the world are often unrecognized in their time. She moves with conviction, understanding that her work is not about her, but about something much bigger. She is intentional in her actions, knowing that every decision she makes affects more than just herself. She invests in people, mentors the next generation, and builds something that will outlive her. She does not seek shortcuts to success because she understands that true impact requires patience, sacrifice, and dedication. She refuses to be distracted by trends, sacrifice, and dedication. She refuses to be distracted by trends, choosing instead to focus on work that creates lasting change. She lives not for the moment, but for the future, knowing that her legacy is written not in how many people admire her, but in how many lives she has empowered. She does not seek to be remembered for who she was, but for what she built that continues to grow long after she is gone. A woman who creates her own legacy understands that greatness is not built on wishful thinking, but on disciplined and intentional living. She does not allow life to happen to her. She takes charge of her time, her actions, and her decisions. She is deliberate in how she spends each day because she knows that her future is shaped by the habits she cultivates now. While others may live aimlessly, she moves with purpose, ensuring that every step she takes aligns with the vision she carries. She does not waste time on distractions that do not serve her growth. She understands that discipline is not a burden, but a pathway to freedom. She prioritizes what truly matters, refusing to be consumed by things that drain her energy or pull her away from her purpose. She sets boundaries to protect her time, knowing that every moment spent unwisely is a moment lost. She does not seek perfection, but she strives for consistency because she knows that small, intentional efforts every day lead to great achievements over time. She is not controlled by emotions or fleeting desires. She is guided by principle and commitment. She wakes up each day with a clear sense of direction, knowing that her success is a result of what she repeatedly does. She does not wait for motivation to take action. She moves forward even when she does not feel like it. She disciplines her mind, her habits, and her choices because she understands that success is not about luck, but about preparation and perseverance. She does not just hope for a better future, she actively builds it. She chooses to be intentional in every aspect of her life, knowing that her legacy is not determined by chance, but by the disciplined and focused life she chooses to live each day. A woman who creates her own legacy does not wait for the world to recognize her worth. She walks in it. She does not shrink herself to fit expectations. She rises to fulfill her purpose. She does not chase after fleeting approval. She builds something that will outlive her. Her life is marked by vision, resilience, faith, wisdom, and unwavering discipline. She understands that legacy is not about what she gains, but about what she gives. Not about how many people know her name, but about how many lives she has touched. She does not wait for history to write her story. She writes it herself with every decision, every sacrifice, and every step of faith. She is not just passing through this world. She is leaving an imprint that generations will follow. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There is a kind of silence that shakes the heavens, a silence that is not born out of fear, but out of deep reflection. A woman who remains silent after being disrespected is not always weak. Sometimes she is simply choosing her battles. But hear me today. Silence should never be mistaken for acceptance. A woman who knows her worth understands that not every battle requires a response, but every act of disrespect requires a decision. She may choose to walk away, not because she lacks power, but because she refuses to waste it on those who cannot comprehend her value. Yet, there comes a moment when silence is no longer wisdom, but bondage. There comes a moment when silence does not protect, but imprisoned. And when that moment arrives, she must speak, not just for herself, but for every woman who has been silenced before her. Disrespect is not just an insult. It is an attempt to redefine your worth in the eyes of the world. But listen to me. A woman's worth is not assigned by others. It is determined by the one who created her. If you remain silent in the face of dishonor, you permit the world to dictate your value. But when you rise, when you speak, when you draw the line, you remind them that you are not to be handled carelessly. A woman who tolerates continuous disrespect teaches others that it is acceptable to mistreat her. You don't teach people how to value you by shouting or pleading. You teach them through the standards you uphold. If you do not demand respect, do not expect it. If you allow disrespect to go unchecked, you invite it to return. But let me tell you this, when a woman recognizes her true worth, she stops asking for respect and starts expecting it. She does not need to argue with those who refuse to see her value. Her presence, her standards, and her choices will speak louder than words ever could. Today, I challenge you, if you have been silent where you should have spoken, speak. If you have been tolerating what you should have confronted, stand. If you have been waiting for permission to honor yourself, let me remind you, you already have it. You do not need to explain your worth to those who do not recognize it. You only need to walk in it. Your silence should be a strategy, not a surrender. Your voice should be a declaration, not a request. And your presence should be a statement, one that says, I am not to be disrespected. Silence is often misunderstood. Many believe that when a woman remains silent after being disrespected, she is accepting the mistreatment. But silence is not always submission. It is not always a sign of weakness or defeat. Sometimes silence is the result of deep inner strength, a conscious choice to rise above unnecessary confrontation. A woman who remains silent is not necessarily yielding. She is observing, processing, and deciding how best to respond. True submission is surrendering power, but silence does not mean power has been lost. In fact, silence can be the greatest display of control. When a woman chooses not to react immediately, she is demonstrating mastery over emotions. She refuses to allow another person's disrespect to dictate her state of mind. She understands that every reaction is an investment of energy, and some people do not deserve that investment. Silence can also be strategic. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every insult deserves acknowledgement. A woman who remains silent may be choosing her moment, waiting for the right time to address the situation with wisdom rather than impulse. She knows that speaking in anger often leads to regret, but speaking with clarity leads to resolution. Her silence is not weakness, it is preparation. Yet, silence does not mean she is blind to the disrespect. She is fully aware. She is weighing her options, deciding if the battle is worth engaging in. A woman who refuses to respond to foolishness is not submitting. She is showing discernment. She does not need to prove her worth to those who refuse to see it. She knows who she is, and she knows that silence can be louder than words. Silence, when chosen wisely, is an assertion of dignity, not a surrender of power. A woman who understands her worth carries herself differently. She does not beg for validation, nor does she allow the opinions of others to define her. Her confidence is not rooted in external approval, but in an unshakable awareness of who she is. When a woman knows her value, she does not settle for less than she deserves. She does not tolerate disrespect because she understands that to accept dishonor is to deny her own significance. Self-worth is not about arrogance. It is about recognition. It is the ability to see oneself clearly beyond the labels and limitations that society tries to impose. A woman who possesses self-worth does not shrink to make others comfortable. She does not allow the fear of rejection to make her silence her own voice. Instead, she stands firm, knowing that her presence alone is enough. She does not chase people who refuse to appreciate her, nor does she waste her energy trying to prove her value to those who refuse to see it. When a woman truly values herself, she becomes selective. She chooses relationships, opportunities, and environments that align with her dignity. She understands that what she allows will continue, and because of that, she refuses to allow anything that diminishes her worth. She does not engage in battles that drain her spirit, nor does she entertain conversations that belittle her existence. She knows that her energy is sacred, and she protects it. The power of self-worth is the ability to walk away without fear. It is the strength to say no without guilt. It is the wisdom to know that being alone is better than being in spaces where she is not respected. A woman who understands her worth moves differently because she refuses to settle for anything less than what aligns with her value. Not every situation demands an immediate reaction. A woman who responds with wisdom understands that her words and actions carry weight, and she does not waste them on meaningless battles. She knows that wisdom is not in how quickly she reacts, but in how effectively she chooses to respond. She does not allow emotions to dictate her decisions because she understands that a reckless response can do more harm than the disrespect itself. Wisdom is the ability to assess a situation before engaging. It is the strength to pause, reflect, and decide whether a response is necessary or if silence will speak louder. A wise woman does not react to provocation, nor does she lower herself to the level of those who seek to demean her. She knows that some people thrive on conflict, and giving them her energy only fuels their intentions. Instead, she chooses her words carefully, ensuring that when she speaks, her voice carries purpose, not desperation. There is wisdom in knowing when to walk away and when to stand firm. Some situations require confrontation, but wisdom ensures that confrontation is done with dignity, not rage. A woman who responds with wisdom does not allow her emotions to control her narrative. She takes control of the moment, ensuring that her actions reflect her strength, not her frustration. She understands that not all disrespect requires a verbal response. Sometimes the most powerful response is removing herself from an environment that refuses to honor her. Responding with wisdom means understanding that every reaction is a reflection of self-control. It is about knowing that respect cannot be demanded from those unwilling to give it, but can be reinforced through the way she carries herself. Her response is not about proving a point to others. It is about maintaining her own sense of peace and power. Restraint is often mistaken for weakness, but in reality, it is one of the greatest displays of strength. A woman who exercises restraint is not passive, she is powerful. She understands that true strength is not in reacting to every provocation, but in choosing when and how to respond. It takes more courage to hold back than to lash out, more wisdom to remain composed than to be consumed by emotion. Restraint is not silence, it is control. It is the ability to feel disrespected, wronged, or misunderstood and still maintain dignity. A woman who masters restraint does not allow others to dictate her emotions or behavior. She does not respond to ignorance with anger or to insults with insecurity. Instead, she holds her ground, not because she is afraid to speak, but because she refuses to be reduced by those who do not deserve her energy. There is immense power in knowing that every reaction is a choice. A woman who understands this does not waste words on people who will not hear them, nor does she waste emotions on situations that do not serve her. She recognizes that not everything requires her response, and that some battles are won not by engaging, but by refusing to be pulled into them. Restraint is the discipline of a woman who knows her worth. She is not moved by the opinions of those who seek to undermine her, nor does she allow their actions to dictate her sense of self. She does not need to prove herself through arguments or outbursts, because her presence alone commands respect. She understands that her strength is not in overpowering others, but in maintaining control over herself. She knows that real power is not in how loud she speaks, but in how well she carries herself when others expect her to break. People will treat you based on the standards you set for yourself. A woman who understands this does not tolerate disrespect, nor does she make excuses for those who dishonor her. She recognizes that every time she allows mistreatment to go unchallenged, she silently teaches others that it is acceptable. The way she carries herself, the way she responds to negativity, and the way she enforces her boundaries all communicate what she will and will not allow. Teaching others how to treat you is not about demanding respect with words. It is about commanding it with actions. A woman who values herself does not beg for honor. She walks in it. She does not entertain people who belittle her, nor does she engage in relationships that diminish her worth. She does not justify staying in environments that drain her spirit, hoping that others will one day see her value. Instead, she sets the tone by making it clear that she will only remain where she is treated with dignity. There is power in the way a woman responds to mistreatment. If she remains silent and compliant in the face of disrespect, she teaches those around her that they can continue to disregard her feelings. But when she speaks up, when she walks away, when she enforces her worth with unwavering confidence, she shifts the way people interact with her. She shows them that she is not someone who can be manipulated, degraded, or taken for granted. A woman who teaches others how to treat her is not aggressive, she is assured. She does not waste energy trying to change those who refuse to change, but she ensures that she is never in a position where she must endure continuous dishonor. She moves with certainty, knowing that her presence is a privilege, not an afterthought. There comes a moment when silence is no longer wisdom, but a weight that suppresses the soul. A woman who has been disrespected, overlooked, or diminished may choose to remain silent for a time, but there is a call deep within her that demands she speak. Speaking up is not about anger or proving a point. It is about reclaiming her voice, her dignity, and her rightful place. A woman who speaks up does not do so for attention, but for alignment with her values, her self-respect, and her purpose. She understands that remaining silent in the face of continuous disrespect does not create peace. It creates permission for mistreatment to continue. Her voice is not just for herself. It is for every woman who has ever been dismissed, every woman who has ever questioned her own worth, because the world refused to acknowledge it. When she speaks, she does not just break the chains of silence, she sets a new standard. Speaking up is an act of courage. It requires confronting discomfort, standing firm in the face of opposition, and choosing truth over approval. Many will try to silence her, make her feel as though she is being difficult or emotional, but she knows that her words carry power. She does not have to shout to be heard. She only needs to speak with conviction. When a woman answers the call to speak up, she transforms the atmosphere around her. She shifts conversations, demands accountability, and refuses to allow herself to be erased. She does not wait for permission to assert her worth. She knows that her voice was never meant to be hidden, and once she begins to speak, she becomes a force that cannot be ignored. A woman who refuses to see herself as a victim reclaims her power. She does not allow circumstances, mistreatment, or past experiences to define her. Instead of dwelling on what was done to her, she focuses on who she is becoming. She understands that life may present challenges, but she has the authority to determine how she responds to them. She does not seek pity. She seeks progress. She does not wait for validation. She sets her own standards. Becoming a standard means refusing to be controlled by pain. It is the decision to rise above mistreatment instead of being consumed by it. A woman who sets the standard does not allow herself to be treated as an afterthought, nor does she tolerate relationships that diminish her value. She is not reactive, she is intentional. She does not merely survive her experiences, she learns from them, grows through them, and transforms because of them. A woman who becomes a standard walks with confidence. She does not lower herself to fit into spaces that do not honor her. She does not accept half-hearted love, conditional respect, or temporary appreciation. She knows that the way she carries herself teaches others how to approach her. If she carries herself with dignity, people will either rise to meet her standard or remove themselves from her presence. There is power in choosing to be a standard rather than a victim. A victim remains stuck in the past, reliving the pain and waiting for justice. A standard moves forward, creating the life she deserves regardless of what was done to her. She does not allow the actions of others to define her worth. She defines it herself. And in doing so, she becomes an example of resilience, strength, and unwavering self-respect. A woman who refuses to be silenced, who knows her worth, and who responds with wisdom is unstoppable. She does not beg for respect. She embodies it. She does not demand honor. She commands it through the way she carries herself. The world may try to diminish her, but she stands unshaken because she knows that her value is not determined by others, but by the power within her. Let this be clear. You are not defined by the disrespect you endure, but by the standards you uphold. You do not have to accept mistreatment, nor do you have to justify your worth. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, and you elevate your life by the boundaries you enforce. Strength is not just in speaking up. It is in knowing when to walk away, when to stand firm, and when to demand better. Do not wait for the world to recognize your value. Recognize it within yourself and move accordingly. The moment you stop tolerating disrespect, the moment you stop explaining yourself to those who refuse to listen, is the moment you take full control of your life. Speak with conviction, act with wisdom, and walk with confidence. You are not here to be diminished. You are here to set a standard. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There is a woman, strong, courageous, unshaken by the trials of life. She may walk through the fire, but she does not burn. She may face the storm, but she does not drown. She may be surrounded by voices that tell her she is not enough, but she stands firm because she knows one truth. She is never alone. This woman is not defined by her past, her pain, or the labels the world tries to place upon her. She is defined by the one who created her. When she walks with God, loneliness cannot grip her heart. Fear cannot paralyze her, and doubt cannot steal her purpose. You see, the world may try to convince her that she needs validation from people, status, or relationships to feel complete, but she knows better. She does not seek approval from men because she is already approved by God. She does not chase after temporary fulfillment because she is already filled with divine purpose. She does not walk in darkness because His word is a lamp to her feet. This woman has faced battles that should have broken her. She has walked through seasons of uncertainty, betrayal, and disappointment. But through it all, she discovered a secret. She was never walking alone. In every valley, God was her comfort. In every storm, He was her anchor. In every moment of confusion, He was her wisdom. And because she has learned to walk with Him, she no longer walks in fear. She walks in faith. There will be times when she feels unseen. There will be moments when the world tries to silence her voice. But she will not be discouraged because she knows that even when no one else sees, God sees. Even when no one else listens, God hears. Even when no one else understands, He knows her heart. And because she walks with God, she is unstoppable. No weapon formed against her shall prosper. No lie spoken over her shall take root. No storm that rises against her shall prevail. She is not weak. She is a warrior. She is not forsaken. She is chosen. She is not lost. She is led by the hand of the Almighty. So to every woman who has ever felt alone, hear this. You are not alone. God is with you. He walks beside you, behind you, and ahead of you. When you walk with him, you walk in strength. When you walk with him, you walk in peace. When you walk with him, you walk in purpose. Loneliness is not just the absence of people, it is the absence of true connection, purpose, and fulfillment. A woman who walks with God understands that even in moments of isolation, she is never truly alone. His presence surrounds her, fills her, and sustains her. While the world may offer temporary companionship, only God provides a presence that never leaves, never fades, and never fails. When she walks with God, she carries a peace that surpasses understanding. In the stillness of the night, when doubts creep in, he whispers reassurance. In seasons of loss, when her heart aches for comfort, he embraces her with his unfailing love. In moments of rejection, when the voices of the world tell her she is unwanted, he reminds her that she is chosen, valued, and deeply loved. Human relationships, no matter how strong, can change with time. Friends may come and go. Loved ones may drift apart. But God's presence is constant. He does not withdraw his love based on circumstances. He does not abandon her when she is weak. Instead, he draws even closer, carrying her when she can no longer walk on her own. His presence does more than comfort, it empowers. A woman who walks with God is not weakened by solitude. She is strengthened by it. In quiet moments, alone with him, she gains wisdom, clarity, and direction. She learns to hear his voice above the noise of the world. She discovers that her worth is not dependent on who is around her, but on the one who dwells within her. No amount of external validation can replace the inner assurance that comes from knowing God is with her. His presence fills the emptiness, turns loneliness into purpose, and transforms solitude into divine communion. The world constantly tries to define a woman by fleeting standards, her appearance, her status, her achievements, or even her past mistakes. It places expectations on her, shaping her identity according to trends, opinions, and societal norms. But a woman who walks with God understands that her identity is not found in the approval of people. It is rooted in the one who created her. She is not who the world says she is. She is who God says she is. When she defines herself by the world, she is caught in an endless cycle of seeking validation. She may chase success, beauty, or recognition, only to find that nothing truly satisfies. But when she looks to God, she sees herself through his eyes, fearfully and wonderfully made, chosen, loved, and set apart for a divine purpose. Her worth is not based on what she does, but on who she belongs to. A woman who embraces her identity in God walks with confidence. She does not need to compare herself to others because she knows she was uniquely designed. She does not shrink back in fear because she understands that God has equipped her for every challenge. She does not allow past failures to define her future because she knows that his grace is greater than her mistakes. The world may try to label her, limit her, or silence her, but she stands firm in the truth of who she is. She is a daughter of the King, a vessel of his glory, and a reflection of his love. No opinion, rejection, or circumstance can strip her of that identity. She walks in purpose, not pressure. She moves in faith, not fear. She is not defined by the temporary, but by the eternal. Adversity is not meant to break a woman who walks with God. It is meant to build her. Challenges come, trials arise, and storms rage, but she does not crumble under pressure. Instead, she stands firm, drawing strength from the one who holds her together. She understands that difficulties are not a sign of abandonment, but an opportunity for God to reveal his power in her life. When the weight of life presses down on her, she does not rely on her own strength, because human strength has limits. Instead, she leans on God, knowing that his strength is made perfect in weakness. She does not see trials as obstacles, but as stepping stones to greater faith, wisdom, and endurance. Every battle she faces is an opportunity for growth, and every hardship is a lesson preparing her for something greater. Pain does not paralyze her, and setbacks do not define her. She knows that the fire of adversity is not meant to destroy her, but to refine her. Like gold purified through fire, she emerges stronger, wiser, and more resilient. She does not allow fear to dictate her choices, because she knows that even in her weakest moments, God is fighting for her. The world may wonder how she keeps moving forward when everything seems to be against her. The answer is simple. She is not walking alone. She understands that true strength does not come from external circumstances, but from the presence of God within her. She refuses to be defeated because she serves a God who has already won the victory. No matter how fierce the battle, she knows that with God on her side, she will always rise above. A woman who walks with God never has to fear the unknown because He is the one directing her steps. Life may be filled with uncertainties, decisions that seem overwhelming, and paths that appear unclear, but she does not wander aimlessly. She understands that when she seeks God, He provides wisdom beyond human understanding. His voice becomes the compass that leads her. His word becomes the map that guides her, and His presence becomes the assurance that she is on the right path. There are moments when she stands at a crossroads, unsure of which direction to take. The world may offer conflicting advice, and fear may try to cloud her judgment, but she does not rely on human wisdom alone. Instead, she turns to the one who sees the end from the beginning. Through prayer, she surrenders her plans, trusting that God's ways are higher than her own. She does not rush ahead in impatience, nor does she hesitate in doubt, because she knows that when she follows His lead, she will never be lost. Even when the path seems difficult, she remains steadfast. She understands that God's guidance does not always lead to the easiest route, but it always leads to the best destination. When obstacles arise, she does not question His plan because she knows that every closed door is for her protection. Every delay is for her greater purpose, and every redirection is for her greater purpose. She walks in confidence, not because she has everything figured out, but because she trusts the one who does. She knows that His plans are for her good. His timing is perfect, and His direction will never lead her astray. No matter where life takes her, she moves forward with faith, knowing that God is guiding every step she takes. A woman who walks with God carries a peace that cannot be shaken and a joy that cannot be stolen. While the world searches for happiness in temporary things, money, status, relationships, and achievements, she has discovered a deeper source of fulfillment. Her peace is not dependent on circumstances, and her joy is not dictated by external conditions. She is anchored in something greater, something eternal, something unshakable. Storms may rise around her, but she remains calm because she knows who holds her future. She does not fear the unknown because she trusts the one who is in control. She does not allow anxiety to consume her because she has placed her burdens in the hands of God. The pressures of life may try to overwhelm her, but they cannot break her because her strength comes from within, a place where God's presence dwells. Her joy is not rooted in fleeting emotions, but in an unchanging relationship with her Creator. Even in moments of pain, she finds reasons to be grateful. Even in seasons of waiting, she chooses to praise. She understands that joy is not found in perfect circumstances, but in a perfect God who works all things together for her good. While others may be discouraged by trials, she sees them as opportunities to grow, to trust, and to witness the faithfulness of God. People may wonder how she smiles in the midst of difficulty, how she radiates peace in the middle of chaos. The answer is simple. She knows who she belongs to. She walks with confidence, not because life is easy, but because she carries a peace that the world cannot give and a joy that the world cannot take away. A woman who walks with God understands that she was not created by accident. She was designed with purpose, formed with intention, and placed on this earth to fulfill a divine assignment. She does not wander through life aimlessly, chasing after things that have no lasting value. Instead, she seeks the will of God, knowing that her destiny is not determined by the opinions of people, but by the plan of the one who created her. She does not compare her journey to others because she knows that her calling is unique. What God has for her cannot be taken by anyone else, and what he has placed within her cannot be diminished by circumstances. She embraces her gifts, talents, and passions, recognizing that they were given to her for a reason. Every experience, every trial, and every season of her life is preparing her for something greater. There are moments when doubt tries to creep in, when obstacles seem too great, and when the path ahead is unclear. But she does not allow fear to dictate her steps, because she knows that God is guiding her. She trusts that he has already gone before her, making a way where there seems to be none. She understands that delays are not denials, and that setbacks are often setups for something greater. She refuses to settle for a life of mediocrity when she was created for impact. She knows that she carries something the world needs, whether it is through her words, her work, or the love she pours into others. Every step she takes is intentional. Every decision she makes is aligned with her faith. And every obstacle she faces is just another opportunity for God to show his power in her life. A woman who walks with God refuses to let fear control her life. She understands that fear is a weapon the enemy uses to keep her from stepping into her destiny. Fear whispers doubts, magnifies obstacles, and tries to convince her that she is not enough. But she does not listen to the voice of fear because she is anchored in faith. She knows that faith is not about having all the answers. It is about trusting the one who does. When uncertainty surrounds her, she does not allow it to paralyze her. She moves forward even when the path is unclear because she trusts that God is leading her. She understands that fear sees problems, but faith sees possibilities. Fear focuses on the storm, but faith focuses on the one who calms it. Fear limits, but faith liberates. She chooses to believe that if God has called her to something, he will equip her for it. There will be moments when she feels weak, when doubts try to creep in, and when circumstances seem overwhelming. But she does not allow those feelings to dictate her actions. She stands firm on God's promises, knowing that he has not given her a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. She reminds herself that every great move of God in her life requires a step of faith, and she refuses to let fear hold her back. She faces the unknown with confidence, knowing that faith is not the absence of fear, but the courage to move forward despite it. She understands that her trust in God is greater than any obstacle before her. With faith as her foundation, she walks boldly, knowing that fear has no power over a heart fully surrendered to God. A woman who walks with God is unstoppable. She is not defined by the world's standards, nor is she controlled by fear, doubt, or circumstance. She carries within her a divine strength that cannot be shaken, a peace that cannot be stolen, and a purpose that cannot be destroyed. When life tries to break her, she rises. When challenges stand in her way, she overcomes. When the path is uncertain, she trusts the one who holds her future. She does not walk alone. In every trial, God is her refuge. In every battle, he is her defender. In every step, he is her guide. The world may change, people may leave, and storms may come, but she stands firm because she knows that God is with her. She does not need the approval of man when she has the favor of God. She does not need to fear the unknown when she walks with the one who knows all things. Her life is not ordinary. It is a testament to God's power, grace, and faithfulness. She is called to rise above, to live with purpose, and to shine with the light of his presence. No matter what she faces, she knows that she is never alone. She is covered, she is chosen, and she is victorious. So let her walk boldly, let her speak with confidence, let her live with unshakable faith. She is not just any woman. She is a woman who walks with God. And because of that, she will never be defeated.